White has been the worst color in Magic the Gathering for a while now, but it appears that Wizards of the Coast is taking steps to correct that. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to talk about a brand new Kaldheim spoiler. As you've gathered from the intro statement, we're going to be talking about a white card here. Now, before we actually get into the card, I just want to talk about the shifting of power levels for different colors and the way things have become our current reality, all right? Because for the longest time, green was actually the weakest color in Magic the Gathering. Now, that's not the case anymore at all, right? Like, green has been getting some heavy good time goodness for a while, and it seems like white has been languishing. It seems like white has actually taken over green's spot of being the least desirable color to play because it just doesn't have enough good offerings. And that actually partially boils down to the nature of the colors, all right? Here's my theory on what's happened. Now, we haven't been directly told this, but if you look at all the factors, it feels like what I'm about to say is most likely the situation we've run into. Wizards of the Coast has done market research, and they want to make the game more fun, especially for beginners, people who are new to the game. And that is, I think, the crux of all of this, because green is inherently a much more fun color than white is. Green is a very straightforward sort of, I'm going to summon giant creatures and try and cram them down your throat, right? Different colors have their specialties. Red's like, I'm gonna set everything on fire. Black's like, everything to the grave. Blue is like, no, you can't do that. And white is, I make the rules. And so ultimately, it's funny. I was pondering this and I realized that blue is a miserable color to play against. But when it becomes truly miserable is when you get blue and white together. And that's because white is about setting rules and restrictions for your opponents. One of the biggest things that white has at its disposal is the whole, like, I'm going to tell you what you can and can't do. And not in the counterspell way, but by setting rules that will last in the game longer. Now, it's kind of fine as a color identity, but it leads to the situation where it's inherently unfun to play against. So Wizards has juiced green right up because green is fun, and because white was unfun and Wizards wanted to avoid as much unfun stuff as possible, they avoided a lot of rules setting stuff. We still get some here or there. Mangara is a great example of one that walks the line of being pretty decently powerful while at the same time kind of not being like too overly obnoxious. So that brings us to our current scenario where we're going to talk about today's spoiler card, which is Righteous Valkyrie. Now, this card is actually, to me, an amalgamation of a few different card concepts from Magic's past. It's essentially like 3 cards kind of mashed together in a way. Although technically, I suppose, you could distill it down to 2 cards depending on how you wanted to view it. But either way, let's break down what the card is. It's 1 white and 2 for a 2/4 flyer. Whenever another angel or cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. And as long as you have 7 life, as long as you have at least 7 life more than your starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. Now, I have to admit, when I read this card, even though I read the casting cost as the first thing, I, in my mind, pushed the casting cost up because this to me feels like a card that would cost 4 or 5 mana. So this feels, first of all, like it's been aggressively mana costed, right? And that's a great way to help boost a color. You know, we're going to put some cards in here where actually this feels above the curve. 3 mana for a 2/4 flyer that will gain you life and also can boost your creatures. And I want to point out, including itself. If you notice, a lot of creatures that give a boost will say other creatures you control. Righteous Valkyrie boosts herself as well, which means once you're at that 7, once you're basically at 7 life above your starting total, which for most people is going to be 27 life, once you're at that scenario, then all of a sudden, this is a 4/6 for 3 mana that gives you life. Like, that is incredibly potent. Also, another way they've made this more powerful is by making it perfectly viable for both of its tribes, right? You have Angel Tribal and you have Cleric Tribal. And this card can go into either with no concern, right? It gives you life boost whether you're getting Angels or Clerics, whether you're playing Angels or Clerics, the +2/+2 applies across the board. So this is a great tribal card from multiple angles, which is a nice win. Now, I want to break down the different parts of the card and talk about where they come from historically, at least for me, all right? So we're going to start out with whenever another Angel or Cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Now, for me, that makes my brain harken all the way back to the Urza's block and Angelic Chorus. And Angelic Chorus is an enchantment that says 2 white and 3, whenever a creature comes into play under your control, gain life equal to that creature's toughness. So obviously, this isn't just limited to Clerics and Angels, this is any creature. But I think we can all agree that this is a fairly underwhelming feeling card. Like, sure, maybe if you have some kind of massive combo where you can put out a ton of different creatures, but even then you're just going to win the game without the life gain. So to me, Angelic Chorus feels like a very niche card. In most cases, it's not really going to do that much. It might impress a noob because when you start playing Magic, life gain is really impressive to you. Wow, if I lose all my life, I lose the game. So gaining life must be a really big deal. But the truth of it is, in Magic the Gathering, it's much, much, much easier to lose life than it is to gain life. So those life gain, they get wiped away really easy. Life gain isn't nearly as powerful as you would think. But I like the flavor behind Angelic Chorus, and it actually ties in with the Righteous Valkyrie as well because she's an angel. And the flavor text on it's fantastic. It says, the very young and the very old know best the song the angels sing. So it's like the closer you are to the creator, either at the beginning of your existence where you've just left him, or at the end of your existence when you're on your way back to him, that's when you can hear this song of the angels. It grows louder and louder in your ears. So it's something that you grow further away from and forget, and then it comes back into your existence. I really like that as a flavor concept, right? So Righteous Valkyrie functions as a somewhat Angelic Chorus, specifically keyed to Clerics and Angels, which keeps the power level a little bit lower. Obviously, with its second ability, if they just allowed it to trigger off of all creatures come into play, it would be too easy to accelerate to the threshold that you need to hit to have this bonus. All right, so we've got the other ability on Righteous Valkyrie, which is as long as you have at least 7 or more life than your starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. Now, a hair on my tongue there. If I'm not mistaken, the having 7 life more specifically concept, at least the card that's most famous for it for me, is actually in standard right now, and that's Speaker of the Heavens. So we're going to actually be able to see these cards combo up together. So Speaker of the Heavens is 1 mana for a 1/1. It's got Vigilance and Lifelink, and it has an ability that says tap it to create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Activate this ability only if you have at least 7 life more than your starting life total, and only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So you can see they're starting to bring this concept for white where it's like, we're going to give you powerful abilities if you can hit a particular threshold. So with the Speaker of the Heavens, to me, having that 7 extra life, it speaks to having divine grace. Once you've got that much extra life, then you can actually beseech the gods for angels, which is a really, really cool concept. And it's a good way to keep the power level somewhat in check. I've played against Speaker of the Heavens a lot, and if he comes out early and he's uncontested, then it can be a problem, right? Even him just swinging in for that 1 point of life, he makes you pay more attention to your opponent's life total. Most of the time, you just care about getting your opponent to 0, right? But this makes you also care about keeping him below 27, which has some interesting gameplay effects and will cause you to launch into attacks that may not be the best for you in terms of trades between you and your opponent's creatures, but does knock your opponent down below to keep them from getting up to that 27 life, where once they hit that, it's all just bonus time. Like Speaker of the Heavens has Vigilance, so you can tap it to make the token and swing with it in the same turn, which is pretty nutty, right? So I do like the idea of this becoming a concept where it's like, okay, we have this life threshold, and the Righteous Valkyrie's ability makes it way easier to hit this Speaker of the Heavens thing. The synergy between these cards is going to be pretty pretty gross. And you can get it going really quickly. If you already have 27 life, the Speaker of Heavens will be a 3/3 that taps to make 6/6 angels, and each angel that comes into play will net you 6 life. So these two combining together is going to be nuts. But that whole, you have to have 7 life is like, that to me is tied to the Speaker of the Heavens. But having a boost to all your creatures that's tied to your life total being at a certain stage actually ties into an older card for me that I also wanted to bring up because it's a precursor to this concept. And that card is Path of Bravery. 1 white and 2 for an enchantment that says, as long as your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, creatures you control get +1/+1. And also, whenever 1 or more creatures you control attack, you gain life equal to the number of attacking creatures. So there's a couple of overlaps. One is that this is a card that will boost your creatures based on your life total, but also has an ability to give you life, this one specifically, from attacking with creatures. And can we actually take a moment, now that we're talking about that, to appreciate the artwork on Path of Bravery? This is one of the most intimidating dragons I've ever seen. He feels almost like a living shadow, right? And you can see like just this gigantic dark winged dragon beast, and its mouth is an inferno, just the fires of hell as it opens its gaping maw. And you can see like the brimstone kind of smoke floating up, but you could also just view that as this is a shadow dragon, and that's shadow stuff flying away. No matter which version like you look at it, it's so intense. It's set against this sooty, it's either nighttime or it's daytime, but things are so kind of obfuscated by smoke that the day has been blocked out and the only light is being provided by all of the stuff that has been set on fire by this intensely intimidating dragon. And in the face of this dragon, you see 2 brave knights charging forwards on their horses, and they have their blades raised in defiance, like, we will defeat you and save everyone. And because of their bravery, they're being given this divine grace that infuses their sword with this mystic energy. It's just this holy aura around the blades that stands out in stark contrast to the dragon, creating such an amazing image. This is such a striking piece of magic artwork, right? Now, the main way that it ties to the Righteous Valkyrie is because it cares about your life total being greater than or equal to your starting life total. So you have to be at 20 or above instead of 27 or above, but this only gives +1/+1, right? So to me, this is like, they're both the same casting cost. Path of Bravery is an enchantment that can stick around, but Righteous Valkyrie is a force all on its own. Now, when we take a look back at the Righteous Valkyrie, because we didn't actually take a look at the artwork yet, I just want to say, I really dig the vibe of this, although I'm not 100% sure what's going on, right? You have the angel here. It looks like she's just kind of she's flying, but also descending downwards with the blade stretched out. But behind the blade, it looks like almost a crazy glyph that's surrounded by all this lightning arcing around. I'm not sure, like the lightning seems to kind of almost be helixing up into the sky. So I don't know if this is just the Valkyrie like drawing magical energy from the clerics and angels that are showing up and sending it off into the heavens, or if this is supposed to represent the +2/+2 bonus that is going to be spread out to all the angels, which I feel like it's more likely the bonus, simply because you have the energy there and then you have it spreading across the angel. If you look at the wings of the Valkyrie here, you can see that they're outlined on every part there by a little bit of this light blue energy. So to me, it's most likely going to turn out to be the actual boosting of power and toughness. But overall, when you take this card and look at it, it really does feel like they're trying to find that sweet spot where white can be powerful enough without being obnoxious. So it seems like more and more we're going to go down the route of like white life gain, which is perfectly fine. Having a color that's focused on life gain, but finding a way to tie other effects into it that make it more powerful. Because like I said, life gain in Magic the Gathering, unless you can do it in absurd amounts, doesn't matter that much most of the time. Every once in a while, it totally does matter, but most of the time it doesn't. All in all, I'm saying that this card is a perfect sign that Wizards seems to be moving closer to bringing white up in power level, because it definitely feels like a step forward for white overall. So, thanks for coming by, my friends. A list of my awesome patrons are scrolling by. I'll put up a link to my newest lore video and see you guys tomorrow.